Testing. Okay. Okay, now we're recording. Good morning, Internet. This is Olin from What I'm Listening To. I have here a bunch of albums I've collected over the last couple of weeks, as I normally do. And some of these are old releases, and I found that some of these are actually releases that came out this year, as a matter of fact. A lot of obscure releases that came out this year, but still new releases regardless. So we got a mixed pile of new and olds, so let's get going here. Starting out with an old release, we have a Cap'n Jazz record. I recently got into this band, shamefully, through this video that Pitchfork put out, which was this little parody of the history of emo. And it's a parody because it just shows these kids that are doing like a school report on emo music. But the subject matter that they touch upon is actually very accurate to how emo music came to be. In the video at one point they play a clip of a song by these guys, and I had heard of the band, but I'd never actually gone out of my way to check them out. This CD is a compilation of the one album they put out, as well as a bunch of singles and EPs that they put out, all on 2 discs here. It's totally a 90s record. There's some songs on here that are, I would say, are pretty emo, but for the most part these guys are just kind of a punk band. They just happen to influence the emo scene. They even have a cover of Take On Me on here, which almost sounds like a ska song, by the way they do it at least. It's a pretty interesting record. I've only listened to it one time through. I've enjoyed it. The one song, God, what is it called on here? It's like the second track on this album. Where the fuck is it? Gonna have to take out the booklet here. Oh Messy Life is so far my favorite song. That one is definitely an emo track, but it's a great song, and I'm gonna have to listen to this album all the way through to fully absorb it, and I will enjoy the hell out of it. It's a good record, worth checking out. Alright, another old release here. This is Nova Mob's The Last Day of Pompeii. So this band is fronted by Grant Hart, who was one of the members of Husker Du. After Husker Du broke up, Bob Mould went on to form Sugar and work on a bunch of other projects, and meanwhile Grant went on to form this band. This is the first of his many musical projects he did. I have Grant's latest solo album, and it's very artistic and cinematic, and it's very, very good. And so I really wanted to explore more of his solo work, considering that I'd listened to a lot of Bob Mould's stuff. Listening to these records, I really hear the stuff that he brought to Husker Du. Bob Mould brought in a lot of melodies, but very straightforward sounding indie rock, but Grant Hart, I think, brought that extra kick. So much like his latest solo record, this album is pretty cinematic and epic too. I haven't really listened to this one as in depth as I want to yet, but I have enjoyed what I have heard, and it's released off the Rough Trade label, which they put out some fantastic stuff. So I'm really excited to add this one to my collection, and I'm excited to get to know it a little bit more.
These are the last days in the city of Pompeii. These are the last days. Hey, hey, these are the last days.
The next older release I have here is an Angels of Light record. I have one of their records. I believe it's their second one, which I got it a while ago. I don't even remember the name of it. And this is an album that I have known about, mostly because the cover is just so weird and kind of creepy. But Steve, the roommate, is responsible for me to buy this record. I had completely forgotten about it until he got into it. He's like, you gotta check out this song. It's really good. I've been listening to it over and over again. So after being re-exposed to the record, I decided to pick it up to actually own it. I only had it digitally for the longest time, and now I have it physically. This is a project fronted by Michael Gira, who also fronts Swans, and instead of doing all the industrial weirdness that he does in Swans, he does some experimental stuff, but instead he experiments with country and folk sounds. There's some great songs on here. God, what is it? Promise of Water is great. The Black River song is another great one. It's really awesome. Pretty much everything this band does is fantastic, and yeah, I'm excited to own this one here.
You're living in me, my star in the shadows.
Okay, let's move on to some new releases. This one is actually a band I don't know too much about, but this is Timbre. The main reason I bought this album is because of the cover. There's no text, no information. I don't know what's going on in it, but it's black and white. It looks like it's lights from skyscrapers. It just looked really interesting. Doing a little research on the band, their stuff sounds very freak folky, some blues elements to it. Kinda reminds me of another band I really enjoy called Alberta Cross, just maybe a little darker sounding. Haven't really listened to this one just yet, but I mean, what I have heard I've enjoyed, and I just figured I should pick it up, and I'm excited to listen to this one here.
I'll go way back to you. I'll go way back through your love.
Next album we have here is from the experimental section. This is a TALsounds record. The main reason I got this is because it was recommended by a friend of mine who works at Amoeba named Luciano. If you go to Amoeba and peruse long enough, you will eventually come across a CD with one of his stickers on it. He seems to be the guy who recommends quite a bit of stuff, but everything he does recommend is solid. I picked up numerous CDs that he's recommended, and he specializes in experimental music in particular, so if you scour that section you'll find quite a bit of his stuff. So I bought this one because of him, and I'm really glad I did. This is a really awesome record. To me, it sounds like if Grouper sang over the Minecraft soundtrack. Nice digital ambient stuff with ghost-like vocals. It's gorgeous record, but it is a very underground record, and shamefully I don't know if a lot of people really know about it, but if you're watching this video, highly recommend it, both from me and Luciano especially. The next new release I have here is the new Japanese Breakfast album. I caught wind of this album coming out, and people were going mental about it. They were super excited, and some people were even like, where is it leaked online? Where can I download it? And I'd never heard of this band prior to the hubbub. At the time, only one song had come out. I believe it was just the first song, Diving Woman. It's like a little shoegazy, mostly dream pop with some nice distorted guitar added to it. So when it was officially released, I decided to grab the album and give it a listen myself. The day it was officially released, Amoeba actually didn't have it because I guess they missed their orders, and when I asked them if they had it, they were like, yeah, everybody's been asking about this record. But now I finally have it, and I haven't really listened to the whole thing yet, but I'm anticipating on listening to it on my drive back to my hometown tomorrow. I'm excited to check this one out fully. The last album is an old release, but I'm incredibly excited to own it. This is a band called Further. The reason why I'm so excited to own this one is because this album, as well as their second album, have been out of print forever. There's a book I have that's a compilation of 500 essential indie records to check out, and both of these guys' albums are listed in there. And ever since I read about those albums, I had been searching record stores high and low to actually get it and listen to it. Eventually I just kind of gave up on it because nobody seemed to have it. But one day I went into Amoeba and was perusing through the staff picks, and sure enough, here was their first record. So it was a total no-brainer that I had to buy it. According to this guy who recommended it, it is essential California indie rock. I believe this band is actually from San Francisco. It's a shame their stuff is so hard to find. But when I popped this into my CD player, I was treated with really melodic, noisy stuff that reminded me a lot of Dinosaur Jr., as a matter of fact. This is a fantastic record. It's called Griptape. If you find this, you definitely have to get it, and even if you can just get it online or listen to it online, totally worth checking out. It's a fantastic record, and I'm probably going to have to buy the second album off Discogs, unless of course I find it somewhere else, but until then I will be enjoying this one, and I'm super stoked to now have this in my collection. Okay, internet, that does it for me. I'm going to go take a shower because I smell like a butt. If you have any music that you want to recommend, whether it's bands, albums, songs, whatever, leave a comment down below and I'll check them out. If I like them, maybe I'll put them in a vlog. But until then, this is Olin from What I'm Listening To, signing out. Goodbye.